Hello, everybody. This is Will Polston, and this is Matthew Perry here for GMs for Hire. It is Thursday, 4:30, April 30th, 2020, and we are here to bring you a player profile of a midweek episode here at GMs for Hire, the first midweek episode that we have brought to anybody. Only the second episode, to be fair, but it's just us two right now. This is going to be kind of our format moving forward. We're going to have that that end of the week, basically like the weekly recap, and then throughout the week we may be doing player profiles, we may be doing small stories, debates, so on and so forth. But today you got me and Matt Perry, and we're going to cover an MLB, in my opinion, an MLB legend. He's been around for quite some time. We're covering Yadi Molina, who's going into his 17th season, if the MLB season picks back up with this whole coronavirus thing. Some news came out about him recently, and he spent all 16 years of his career with the St. Louis Cardinals. And he is saying that now he is set to become a free agent after the 2020 season. And he's saying that now he's willing to part ways with the Cardinals if they aren't to reach an agreement after the season. Previously, before his contract went up, he said it was either Cardinals or retire. But now, going into his age 38 season, he's looking for a 2-year deal. He said that the Cardinals are his primary, but he's willing to go other ways. Matt, let me get your opinion on that real quick.
Well, seeing him willing to go other ways kind of surprised me because, when you think of Yadier Molina, you think of the Cardinals. He's been a staple in that lineup for, like you said, now 17 years. He's always been back there. I think I remember you saying most games caught by a catcher. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's somewhere over 1,900.
Yeah.
Most games ever caught by a catcher in Major League Baseball.
So he's been back there for a long time, and he's done great for them. I don't know if he's officially a captain for them, but honestly, in my book, he's their captain. But it would feel a lot like you see Tom Brady on the Bucks now, on the Buccaneers. You see when Michael Jordan went to the Wizards, Wayne Gretzky went to the St. Louis Blues. It'll be weird for sure seeing him in a different uniform. If the Cardinals don't bring him back, I hope they bring him back, just because he's done so much. But the Cardinals do have quite a few good catching prospects, so maybe it is just Yadi's time and the Cardinals' time to bring someone new in.
Yeah, it very well could be. I know getting up in that age, it's a little bit, it's going to be tough for Yadi for sure. And he's going to be, as we mentioned, going into this season, turning 38. He turns 38 on July 13th of this year, and then he's looking for a 2-year deal, which will take him into his age 39 and 40 season. And being a catcher, catching that many games, I mean, even with a short season, I'd imagine Yadier Molina is going to eclipse 2,000 games this season. He's only, I want to say he's at like 1,947 games, if I'm not mistaken. It's somewhere around that number.
Yeah, it's even closer. He's at 1983.
1983?
Yeah, he's very close.
Okay, then yeah,
would,
he's only 17 games away.
Yeah, he'd get it
So,
this year for sure.
so he's definitely going to eclipse 2,000 games. And that behind the backstop, and that's nuts, especially as you're getting older. I mean, he's getting almost better with age. I mean, he as the years go on, I mean, he's lost a little bit of the defensive prowess that he once had. He doesn't necessarily have the pop-up time like he used to, but he's still got the bat. He's batting, he's still putting up decent averages. If I'm not mistaken, you pulled up his stats earlier. You said he's never batted below 250?
Yeah, not since his rookie season. He hit oh no, I'm sorry. It was his third season, his age 23 season. He had 417 at bats and he hit 216.
216. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's not the greatest of numbers by any means, but I mean, as you go on, I mean, everything else from 250 and above, I mean, you'll take those kind of at bats. You'll take those averages in your lineup, especially from an everyday player. You can't expect a 300 average from everybody in your lineup. So, I mean, to be able to still get on get a hit even a quarter of the time, that's really solid percentages. And especially from a position like catcher, that's really not known for their offensive prowess right now. Maybe JT Realmuto, Yasmani Grandal, Gary Sanchez. But other than that, I mean, I don't know many catchers that are very huge offensive. Oh well, now also Mitch Garver. I forgot about Mitch Garver. He's in the league. Yeah, he's got the
Yeah.
bat. That's for sure.
Wilson
He's got a
Contreras.
cannon. Yeah, okay. So there are a few. There's definitely some hitting, but I mean the catching position historically has lacked a lot
Yeah.
of offense. It's definitely a defensive first position.
Yeah, you definitely don't have guys like Mike Piazza and Ivan Rodriguez, Jorge Posada here anymore. But I mean, one thing you have seen from Yadier Molina is consistency. And back on the 300 thing, he did hit 300. Looks like 5 times in his career. Most recently, 2016, his age 33 season. So he hit 270 last season. It's not that far off. You do see some kind of decline, but he could still start for a team. Anyway,
If I'm not mistaken, I want to say, and sort this on Baseball Reference. I know you have it up. See, did last year he hit his career high in home runs?
no, last year he only hit 10. Back in 2012, where he won his Silver Slugger, he hit 22.
Oh wow! What did he hit like 20 recently? Was there any year
Yeah,
recently where he hit 20?
he hit 20 2 years ago in 2018. He was
That's
on.
what I was thinking of. I thought that was a career high, but no, yeah, last year it was only 10. So, but still, I mean, you'll take those numbers to get 20 home runs out of Yadier Molina. You're not going to get it often, and he's still doing it. And 2 years ago, that's his age, 35 season, and you're still popping out home runs, still throwing out batters. He's up there, and so I mean with this COVID-19 thing, you're going to take a lot of rest. You're going to sit. You're going to, a lot of players may be working out, but they're not exactly, in the grind every day. We're at the end of April, going into May. The season would already be a month long, and that's a lot of wear and tear, especially for Yadi, who's probably going to be catching, I would imagine, 5 out of 7 days a week. I mean, at the age of 37, I mean,
Yeah,
it's not gonna do any good for his knees. But now he's getting to rest. It's gonna be a shorter season. He's still gonna get his normal off days, I'd imagine. So he's not gonna get too much. How many games we're gonna have in the MLB the season this year? Nobody knows. I mean, it could be 100, it could be less. Nobody really knows. But I'm imagining he's still gonna get his off days. He's still gonna get everything. And so, I mean, why not? Why not go a couple more years? I mean, you're offensively still there. You've always defensively been there. I mean, why not keep going?
yeah. I think if he wants to go 2 more years, he can go 2 more years, at least in a part-time role. Um, I got sneeze. So if it comes, it comes. But like I mentioned, the catchers that the Cardinals have in their farm system, guys like just to my memory, Ivan Herrera, for example. I think he still might be a year or two away. But if you were to re-sign Yadi, put him in that part-time role, maybe because then he could help someone new, like Ivan Herrera or whoever they decide to call up to put in that position. I think he could be a big help and it still get some part-time reps.
I think that's fair. I mean, they also have, just speaking from experience, because I'm a Cardinal fan, they also have Andrew Kisner, who spent some time up in the big leagues last year too. He's gone up and down. He could see some playing time here soon, I'd imagine. But I mean, hell, even before that, the Cardinals had Carson Kelly, and Carson Kelly never really got it going for St. Louis. But once we sent him off to Arizona, I mean, he's got a little bat on him now. I mean, he's been putting it together. Do you think maybe with somebody as close as MLB ready as Carson Kelly, if he was still in the MLB or if he was still in the Cardinal system, do you think this may push out Yadi a little bit quicker?
Well, I wouldn't guarantee that it would. I think Carson Kelly still. I would still honestly start Yadier Molina over Carson Kelly. Um, but I would say it could push him up quicker. If Yadi was a free agent and they stole Carson Kelly, I would say they go with Carson Kelly. Um, of course, that's not the case though. The Goldschmidt trade prevented that, I believe, right? Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
yeah. And Goldschmidt has been pretty fantastic. So I wouldn't have any regrets as a Cardinal front office guy, but maybe I would think it would cross my mind at least.
I think with this, it's going to be, I mean, in my opinion, and also in Yadier Molina's opinion, he stated that he's got 100% confidence that the Cardinals front office and his manager are going to be able to find the terms to make a deal, and I doubt, I highly doubt they won't. I feel like if Yadier Molina does want to keep playing, they're going to keep having him. one of the most known names, I'd say, in Cardinals baseball history, definitely in recent years. One of, if not the most. Um, you know, debate Albert Pujols, but it's been so long since he's been on the Cardinals that
Yeah.
the newer baseball fans who are coming up, the kids growing up now may not even remember he was a Cardinal. So Yadier Molina, I mean, as MLB The Show puts it, he's the face of the franchise. I mean, he is the guy with St. Louis. He's the guy that you're going to market around. You're going to do everything around. I mean, yeah, Goldschmidt's probably the guy. Goldschmidt's got the bat. He's got everything like this. Paul DeYoung. Paul DeYoung's an amazing player on the Cardinals as well, but nobody speaks Cardinals baseball like Yadier Molina, and I think that's a given.
Yeah, for sure. Molina's definitely going to end up on, those outfield walls with other great players like Brock and Slaughter, and for many other greats. They're going to retire his number. And one big question, and we've discussed this in the past, is Yadier Molina a National Baseball Hall of Famer? Cardinal Hall of Famer is a given, but Cooperstown is not, at least in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, we've had this debate plenty of times, and I've had this debate with you many of times, and I've always said, Hall of Famer. I mean, it's obvious, to me at least. He's a 9-time All-Star. He's a 9-time Gold Glover. He's a 4-time Platinum Glove winner, the best fielder in all of baseball, not even just his position. And I think that is absolutely phenomenal. If I'm not mistaken, he's won a Silver Slugger. He's got 2 rings. He's got it. I mean, he's got the statistics to prove it. He's got the hardware. He's got what you need to get into the Hall. And I think with the accolades, you're looking at it, but I think with the accolades, it's a pure yes. But whenever you look at the stats, I feel like you're going to have a little bit of pushback. And I could see where people say Yadier Molina is not a pure Hall of Famer. I was listening to Talking Baseball, and John Boy said that I want to say it was either John Boy or Trevor Plouffe. I don't remember which ones, but they were both saying like Gold Gloves are just pieces of shit. Like nobody. They said that like managers don't even vote for it. It's the bat boys who vote for it. Like so. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I personally, yes, I put Molina in the Hall. Um, but I mean, I'd love to hear your take. I've heard your take a few times. Put it out there.
Well, going back on Gold Gloves, it is a voting process, and there's clear proof that in the past, the best defender doesn't necessarily win it. Many people use Derek Jeter examples. I'll use him in this situation. He did many seasons. His fielding percentage wasn't fantastic, and despite many highlight reel plays he's made over time, diving into the stands, the flip, the jump throw, he's revolutionized shortstop. But was he deserving of all those Gold Gloves he won? Not every season. Yadi does have 9, 4 of them platinum, and I do agree that he's one of the best defensive catchers in the game right now. But his stats are indeed underwhelming. He hit 270 last year, career 282, which is pretty good for a catcher, nearing 300. Yet he's yet to rank top 10 in WAR among catchers. He's still sitting at 40.1, and I believe number 10 on that list is somewhere in the 50s, somewhere around Mickey Cochrane, someone from long ago. 2 rings is nice. 9-time All-Star, yep, fan favorite, so you're going to get there. Do I call him a Hall of Famer? It's hard. It's tough. He's definitely not first ballot. I think it would take him a few years to get in a good spot. Somewhere like Curt Schilling, even though Curt Schilling's an asshole, and everyone agrees with that. Yadi's a nice guy though, so I think fan interest will play into it, and I think it would take him a few years, but I think he has the potential to make it into the Hall of Fame eventually.
I know a lot of people they go with the offensive stats over anything. A lot of people will make the argument that Yadi isn't deserving because of the offensive stats. And I remember specifically that you and I had a conversation one night that we were talking about, Yadi's not the greatest hitter, not all this, not all that. But like we said, we gave you the stats right there. Only one season under 250, and I mean to get consistency like that, That's amazing, but is it consistent enough to make the Hall of Fame? I think that's where the question is. I'm looking right now, and he's a career 282 hitter. And you're going to take those kind of offensive numbers. I mean, only 18 points shy of a 300 career batting average. Whenever I think of something like that, I look at somebody like Ozzie Smith. And Ozzie Smith, I think it is fair to say that his whole career was basically based around defensive stats. And I think I don't think I'm wrong by saying that. Another Cardinal great. Also played some time with the Padres. Did he play with anybody else? I don't think so. No, he only played with the Padres and the Cardinals. As I'm looking at his stats and his accolades right now, he's a 13-time Gold Glover. So he's got a little bit on Yadi, and he will always have a little bit on Yadi because he's only going to play, supposedly, if this season happens, 3 more seasons. Excuse me. Sorry about that. That was unprofessional. But, let's say he plays all 3 seasons. Let's say even if he does win the Gold Glove all 3 years, Yadi's still only sitting at, 12? And so he's still going to be short. And then Ozzie Smith was also a 15-time All-Star, which is absolutely insane. He's a 1-time Silver Slugger, similar to Yadi. He has 1 ring where Yadi has 2. And then, I mean, his stats. He is a WAR machine. He has a 76.9 WAR, but you also have to factor in that I can imagine a majority of that is going to be because of his defense.
Yeah.
And Ozzie Smith was a lockdown defender. I mean, nothing was getting by him. And I think Molina, you have to give him credit because I feel like, all credit to the fielders, but I feel like it's a lot harder to be a catcher. I mean, you have a lot more responsibility. I mean, there's blocking the pitches. And you never know what the hell your pitcher's going to throw. I mean, you can spike a curveball, and that's going to be a pass. That's going to be a pass ball or whatever. But then you may have to try to get the ball and try to throw out a runner advancing, and then you're going to rush. Well, now there's an error on you. And then I mean, there's a lot that goes into catcher when I feel like playing in the field may be a little bit more routine. It's a lot more consistent and everything such as that. Like you may get like a weird hop or something like that, or you may have a diving opportunity, but most of the time if you get a funny hop, it's considered a hit. If it's a diving opportunity and you don't get the glove, like you get a glove on it but it stays in the infield, you don't make the play, it's considered a hit. So I feel like there's a little bit of discrepancy there. But
I did look further into it. So this is going to be the difference maker. So I looked into offensive WAR among career catchers, and Yadier Molina is ranked 41st. You got guys like Mike Napoli in front of him, Victor Martinez, other people that had okay careers. But then you look, if you sort by defensive WAR, Yadi's 5th all time.
Wow.
And he's got Johnny Bench behind him, Brad Ausmus.
5th all time among catchers.
Yes, among catchers.
Gotcha.
Which is very impressive. Guys in front of him, Ivan Rodriguez and Gary Carter, who are both Hall of Famers.
Both Hall of Famers.
And then you have Bob Boone and Jim Sundberg, who didn't get the call.
No.
But
can you look into those two, like their offensive stats, see what kind of players they are, because they could be piss poor for all I know. I mean,
yeah, I'll check Bob Boone and Jim Sundberg's offensive WAR. So Jim Sundberg ranks higher than Yadi offensively.
Wow.
35th. And then I'll try to find Bob Boone when I can. Bob Boone ranks 101st.
Okay, so that's out the window. But what was the name of the other one? Not Bob Boone, but who?
Jim Sundberg.
So this man, Jim Sundberg, ranked better than Yadi offensively and defensively and did not make the Hall of Fame.
Correct. In
Wow.
WAR, at least.
Yeah, in WAR. Which I feel like, what time was this man playing? How long ago?
He played 1974 through 1989, 16 years. Almost 1,500 career hits. Only 95 career home runs. Lifetime batting average of 248, which is different from Yadi's 282. How
is this man hitting better? How is this man a better offensive WAR than Yadier Molina?
3-time All-Star. He got a ring in 85. No Silver Sluggers.
Wow.
I mean, almost 1,500 hits is nice, but
Yadi's got 1963. And then you said how many home runs?
Only 95 career home
Yeah,
run.
Yadi's got a career 156 and a career 282 batting average compared to the 248 you said for this man.
Yeah,
And they're ranking him better offensively than Yadier Molina
in WAR at
in
least.
WAR, which is nuts. I mean, is it RBIs? Is it runs? Is it
You know,
was he fast? Did
I'm
he?
not sure what Yadier Molina is missing.
I After you look at something like that, now I'm confused. At least, I mean, that just throws the WAR stat a little out the window. But I mean, but here's the thing: is that modern day people are so obsessed with WAR, and they're so obsessed with the new analytics, and everything's got to be something. Every single number counts, and I feel like with nowadays the modern, like the MLB, what are they? The Writers Association, is that who votes for it?
I believe so.
Yeah, the MLB writers. I mean, they look at so many different stats, and like I feel like some players don't necessarily always get the love they deserve. But I really hope that this doesn't happen to Yadi, because after hearing those stats and that guy is considered more offensively productive than Yadier Molina, like I'm almost kind of offended. Like as a Cardinals fan and as a baseball fan, honestly, I'm kind of offended that that's. I mean, we have concrete proof that those are his stats, these are Yadi's stats, and that Yadi is still ranked lower.
Yeah, I'm really not sure how Yadier Molina is ranked lower. I'm trying to find something on Jim Sundberg's baseball reference page.
What's his like? What are his like on base, his slugging, everything like that?
So on base percentage for Jim Sundberg career is 327.
That's just under Yadi. Yadi's at 333.
All right, and that could go down for Yadi if Yadi plays 2 more years.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
slugging 348,
Yeah, Yadi's at 405,
and then OPS is 674.
and Yadi's at 738. That is nuts.
I'm not sure where Yadi's missing.
And even his OPS plus is at 98, and the league average is 100.
And
So
Sundberg's is only 90.
so where we're calling you out, War. Where in the world do these players rank better than Yadi? I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I don't want to do a whole entire offensive breakdown of every single catcher in the MLB. I mean, that's too much to handle. But 41st, you said, for Yadier Molina in offensive WAR,
Yeah.
and we have statistical proof in every single statistical category that Yadier Molina was a better hitter than this guy. And I mean, I don't know if this goes down to the discrepancy, but WAR, I don't know exactly how WAR is calculated. But oh, you know what it is? WAR is based off of the current player.
I thought it's based wins above replacement.
Right. So isn't it like how many wins you would generate if they put in like the average player at your position?
Yes.
Or is it your backup?
Well, maybe what I'm thinking is that Sundberg was a little more important. I mean, he only won one ring, but he might have been more offensively important to the team than Yadier Molina, because Yadier Molina had plenty of great hitters on his team throughout his career.
I'm trying to figure out what exactly is the absolute 100% concrete definition of what WAR is. I know it's wins above replacement, obviously.
Yeah.
But this says wins above replacement is an attempt by the sabermetric baseball community to summarize a player's total contributions to their team in one statistic. You should always use more than one metric at a time when evaluating players, but WAR is an all-inclusive and provides a useful reference point for comparing players. It says that WAR offers an estimate to answer the question: if this player got injured and their team had to replace them with a freely available minor leaguer or a triple A player from their bench, how much value would the team be losing? So maybe it's just that the catcher underneath that man was just that bad.
Well, now I'm going to check. We're going to get deeper into the wormhole here. I'm going to check the 1985 Kansas City Royals roster to see who was surrounding Sundberg and how important he really was. So you got.
They win a ring?
They won a ring.
I mean, it's a team effort. It's not just the catcher position, but
this is his one ring. Yep, Jim Sundberg, his age 34 season.
that was his ring, 34.
Yeah.
Okay.
He had a 32-year-old George Brett on his team. I'm just naming notables. Steve Farr, who had a decent career. I think pitching was where they won, really. The 21-year-old Brett Saberhagen.
Oh wow.
Dan Quisenberry, age 32.
Notable name. Yep.
Frank White was age 34 at the time. I mean, this team isn't anything fantastic.
Does it have their backup catcher?
Yeah, let me see if I could sort by. Yeah, so backup catcher that season, well, at least second most games played. Sundberg played 112 of them. John Wathan played 49 games, a career WAR of 5. I mean, he had a few seasons. He played for Kansas City his whole 10-year career. Never hit over. He hit 300 twice in a season, but he
What
didn't.
was his career?
His career average, 262.
This man had better statistical career numbers.
He only had over 400 at bats 3 seasons.
Okay, so he basically sounds like a career backup.
Yeah, basically. Only played in over 100 games the 3 times that he did that. So.
Okay, so I don't know if WAR is just because, I mean, don't get me wrong, Yadier Molina is not like, he's obviously, he needs to be the starting catcher for the St. Louis Cardinals. All the years that he's been there, he's 100% the guy. But in a lot of years, he's had decent backups. So maybe that's what applies to it, because he's had backups such as AJ Przinsky. For a while, he had Carson Kelly. Now he has Andrew Kisner, Matt Wieters. And not to mention, like, there's been other catchers before. He took over Mike Matheny's position. So I don't think they ever played on the same team. I don't think so. I'd be honest. I don't know what year Matheny retired, but I don't think they ever played on the same team. But he's had pretty decent backups quite a few years, and maybe that just goes into the statistical standpoint, and I'm not too sure.
I'm taking a look now at the 2012 St. Louis Cardinals, where he had the 22 home run season en route to the Silver Slugger, arguably his best season offensively. Tony Cruz was the backup, if you remember him.
Yeah, I do remember Tony Cruz, for sure.
Who never really had much of a starting job anywhere.
Not at all.
So
he's a career backup.
Yeah, so that I question that.
I know for at least 1 year the Cardinals had AJ Przinsky, and I know now he's had Matt Wieters for, I want to say, 2 seasons, going into his 3rd. So I mean, he's had relative. Matt Wieters used to be the face of the Orioles. I mean, he could swing a stick.
So it was 2014. Pierzynski was there, but they also still had Tony Cruz and George Kataris.
George Kataris? I don't know who that is.
He only played in 4 games.
That makes sense. Why I don't know who that is.
He moved around a bit. Giants, Red Sox, never really played much. But yeah, you guys had 3 to 4 catchers, and Yadi played 110 games.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I've never been a big fan of WAR. I like more of the number statistics, such as percentages, such as on base percentage, slugging. I love slash lines. I still think average is still a good stat.
It's important.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
People shouldn't value WAR more than average.
Right. And I really like the stats, the new stats like weighted runs created plus. And I like stuff like that where there's obviously where they literally state that, like, this 100 is your average. And then depending on where you fall, positive or negative, below, like, or above or below 100, depends on, like, shows how important you are. With WAR, there's no really, because there's no like, I don't know how to say it, but there's no, like, benchmark. There's no, like, you have to hit this WAR to be this good of a player. I saw on Baseball Reference that each season, if you go season by season, you can check their season WAR, and like, if you have like what was it, like a better than a 5 WAR, that you were considered to be all-star level, or if you had better than an 8, you should be an MVP candidate, or stuff like that. Like, yeah, I get that, but like, whenever you're looking at it, nobody has made a benchmark like this should be your WAR when you retire, or this should be considered to be what it is. And I know on Baseball Reference, speaking of Pierzynski, I know on Baseball Reference, if you scroll down all the way to the bottom, it talks about like player similarities, and it said offensively and defensively, Yadier Molina is most like AJ Pierzynski. And no offense to Pierzynski, but he is nowhere near defensively what Yadier Molina ever was, and I don't think he was even close. If I remember right, Pierzynski was there to hit, and he was there to hit people. Like, he was there to cause fights. He was there to be a ruckus. Like, he's the Yasiel Puig of the world, except Yasiel Puig's got a stronger arm. Like, don't get me wrong, Pierzynski, great player in his time. He was a solid catcher, but like defensively, he never stood out, if I remember correctly.
So I'm looking at the explanation of the similarity scores because I did look, and it does show Pierzynski up top most similar to him. Batting is based on a certain amount of games played at bats, runs scored, stuff like that. It doesn't get heavily analytical, but it's also based on age and a similar path. So similar batters through age 36 is also Pierzynski. And then you have guys like Benito Santiago, Jason Kendall, Tony Pena, who all three of those guys had great careers. So it doesn't. It doesn't.
None of them are in the Hall of Fame, are they?
No. I think Jason Kendall was revolutionary, but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I do have a high praise for him though.
See, that's what's nuts.
Hall of Famers on this list are similar batters wise. You have Ernie Lombardi, who we can look into. I remember seeing him close on the WAR list to him. He's a Hall of Famer. He won an MVP one year, but a career average of 306. Only 190 career home runs, but he played, how many years did he play? He played 17 years. He led the league in average twice, 330, 342.
Wow.
I could see why Ernie Lombardi's in the Hall of Fame for sure. I don't know how he was defensively. That's something I can check now. Because his defensive WAR, he didn't have any Gold Gloves, but they didn't have Gold Gloves back then anyway. So I'll look into defensive WAR and see where we go.
Because I'd imagine, I mean, being fifth all time in defensive WAR for the position, I mean, there's not going to be many people who are going to pass Yadier Molina, and I feel like that's the case for the future. I mean, I feel like a 4-time Platinum Glove winner, I mean, that is insane. They literally tell you are the best fielder in the league. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they do only give out 1 Platinum Glove a year.
Yeah.
Between National League and American League, and they literally say you are the best defender in MLB. I know Kevin Kiermaier won it 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who won it last year, but maybe it was may have been Matt Chapman, but I'm not sure off the top of my head. But still, I mean,
it was
Matt Chapman.
Yeah.
I can't imagine somebody not including his defensive prowess into his final stats. And even whenever you look at the WAR stat, if you go season by season, just specifically offensive and defensive WAR, because they break it down by both categories. If you look at his defensive WAR throughout his career, he never went below 0.3, and he ranged all the way up to at max 2.9. That's just defensively. And then if you look at his offensive WAR, he's been positive every single year but one, in which in 2006, when the Cardinals won a World Series, he had a negative 1.4 WAR, which is a terrible year at the plate. But he still, at any other season, he ranged from 0.2 to 5.2 all the way whenever he won the Silver Slugger. So he's got it, and he's been a finalist for an MVP. He got third place in 2013. He got fourth place in 2012, the year prior. When you look at this, like the accolades, when you look at the hardware he's got, I don't see how you deny him. I really don't.
Yeah, I found Ernie Lombardi, and this is the real difference maker. Ernie Lombardi ranks 245th among catchers with a 3.8 defensive WAR. Yet his offensive WAR is 41.2, which I believe ranks him among It does rank him 19th all time among catchers offensively.
So he's
So
19th offensively and two in the 200s defensively.
yeah, so this was clearly an offensive catcher. Ernie Lombardi was, and that's the difference between him and Yadi. Definitely different players.
Yeah, but whenever you average it out, I mean, 200 and something. You said 240s?
I'll average it out right here. I
Yeah,
have
if you
it.
take
Um,
240 and then 19.
okay, here
And
we go. Yeah, Lombardi ranks 23rd. I mean 24th. Yadi ranks 23rd. So Yadi's actually just in front of Lombardi.
for career war.
Career, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So
But then
there's a
you
Hall of Famer, but
have
it could
Jim
be different times.
Sundberg right in front of Yadier Molina. And we're back to that whole what is war?
Yeah, we come right back to what is the Hall of Fame, what is war. And I mean, I think there's a debate for both sides, obviously. I mean, whenever you look at the statistical standpoints and you compare stuff like this, obviously we're going, okay, there's no way. There's absolutely no chance that he's going to be one. But then you find something else and you look at the other statistics, you compare them to people like for their careers, and you got to think there's no way he's not. And I think that's why, I mean, honestly, when you look at it in modern day baseball, I think he is the most controversial player on if he's a Hall of Famer or not. I think everybody goes, you've got your half of baseball fans who go, he's one of the best catchers all time. He's a defensive gem. He's got the offensive pieces to put it together. He does just enough to get in. He may only get 75%, 76, but he's going to get in. And then you got your other half of the MLB fans who go, he's overrated. He's washed up. He's not good. He's not this. He's not this. Wilson Contreras, Yasmani Grandal, everything like this. He's not Real Muto. He's not this person. And they don't realize what he did prior, because yeah, he's not nearly the catcher he was, but he's 37. He's a couple months away from being 38. He's not going to be the same exact. He's not in his prime. He's not. And you can look at that statistical numbers for everybody but Justin Verlander. Everybody gets worse over time for the most part. You can look into Albert Pujols. If you took his time on the Angels, compared it to his time on the Cardinals, I think a lot of people would say if they were split into two careers, you don't take the Angels player as a Hall of Famer. But the career numbers that Albert Pujols has put together between everything, he is 100%, no doubt about it, first ballot Hall of Famer, 90+% guaranteed. He's going to be there. It's just weird to see that so many people are so back and forth on Molina.
I'm looking now at defensive statistics here between Pierzynski and Yadier Molina. Now, I'm sure Yadier Molina had more games caught. That's
A given.
most likely, yeah. Both of them share a 995 fielding percentage.
Wow.
Yeah, Pierzynski played 19 seasons. Yadier entering. You
said 19?
He played 19 seasons, yeah.
I know he's around that long. Dang.
Yeah, so he was around for a bit. Do you have the games caught for Yadier Molina?
Well, I can get him really quick. It's not going to take me long. Yadier Molina. Whenever I bring up not his contract, F. Whenever I bring up Yadier Molina's baseball reference, saying random words to fill time, career games played 1,983.
Okay, so he did play more career games than Pierzynski. Pierzynski played 1936.
So Yadier Molina in 3 less years has played more than Pierzynski's already played in a 19-year career.
Yeah, correct.
And I think his durability alone should get him in there. And here's another thing. With the Barry Bonds debate. I get it. He may not have came out and said, yeah, whatever I did. He took steroids. If you look at how small he was and now how big he got, and then, I mean, you don't do that in the weight room. At least that's my opinion. And he's in the era. I could see where a lot of people are very skeptical about it. I get it. But whenever you look into it, whenever you think about it, where am I going with this? I totally lost my train of thought. F.
Okay, I'll wrap it up. Yadier Molina stayed clean for a 17-plus season career. He was a starting catcher on a good team almost his entire career. He has titles to his name. He's one of the best catchers of our era. and he should be treated as such when it comes down to voting on ballots 7 years from now or whenever it's his time.
I really don't get where I was going with that. Now I'm really upset because I had a great point in my head. But yeah, Yadier Molina has stayed clean, and I think, this is where I was going. Barry Bonds hit the most home runs of all time. Barry Bonds hit the most home runs, has the most home runs. Similar to how Pete Rose has the most hits. That can be debated because Ichiro with the added Japan hits, whatever. But Barry Bonds, concrete, has hit the most career home runs out of any other MLB player in history. And he's not in the Hall of Fame because of the steroid era. Yadier Molina has played more games than any other MLB catcher ever. I can't imagine. And he's been a stellar defender, one of the most elite in the history of the baseball, and an above average hitter, and played the most games in MLB history. How do you deny that? And the stats are right there in front of you. I mean, you've got it right there. Even being 41st all time or whatever number it was for the offensive WAR, even if you consider that, think about all the catchers. There's 32 MLB catchers that just start right, or not 32, 30. There are 30 catchers in the MLB right now that start, and all of them have a backup. There are at least 60 MLB catchers. If you were to take it right now, 41st out of 60 is horrible. But if you are to take every single catcher all time and say that this is the 41st best hitter and the 4th best defender, that's nuts. That is 45 combined. 41 and 5 is 45. If you divide that by 2, you're getting 23 and a half or 22 and a half. If you said that Yadier Molina is the 23rd best catcher of all time, how do you not put him in the Hall of Fame?
There are players that are ranked higher than him that aren't in the Hall of Fame.
It's so crazy.
Guys like Jorge Posada, as mentioned, Jason Kendall, the Jim Sundberg, which is still controversial. But defensive games as a catcher, he ranked first in the NL 6 times in his career. And active, he is first, as you mentioned. Career, he's 7th in defensive games as a catcher. So I don't know about him playing the most games as a catcher. I
thought maybe it was just the most games. I don't know. I thought I read that. I thought I read that on the ESPN article. I could very well be wrong. Let me see if I can pull up. Keep talking, but let me pull up that article.
He currently sits in 7th, about 500 games behind first place Ivan Rodriguez. And as the Hall of Fame thing was mentioned, there's only 3 Hall of Famers in front of Molina, yet he ranks 7th. You have Ivan Rodriguez and Carlton Fisk, who deserved their Hall of Fame bid, and they got it. They each played 21 and 24 seasons, so that's probably why they rank so high. And then you have Bob Boone, who was only 1 game off of Fisk, but he was more of a defensive player for sure. Then you have Gary Carter, who after 19 seasons definitely deserved the Hall of Fame. And then once again, you got Jason Kendall sitting there, which he won't be a Hall of Famer, at least not until the Veterans Committee can decide 30 years from now, potentially. But he's 5th all time. And then you have Tony Pena, who's made a good career of himself as a player and as a coach. And then you have Yadier Molina. So you have some great players ahead of you. And he will pass Tony Pena this season if he plays. And potentially Jason Kendall, depending how long the season is. So you're looking at him finishing his career probably 4th all time, because I think if he plays 2 more seasons, he can pass Gary Carter for sure, and potentially even Bob Boone. So 3rd or 4th all time games played as a catcher for Yadier Molina at the end of his career. If he goes 2 more years, whether or not that'll happen is the question. I think it'll happen. I don't know if it'll happen with the Cardinals though. You got good teams that he can start on,
So here's where I went wrong in that statistic. He has caught 1,947 games in his career, the most with a single franchise.
Yeah,
That was I saw the most, and I automatically thought it was the most of a catcher. It's the most of a single franchise. That is where I've been going wrong the whole time.
that makes more sense. But like I said, he can get up to at least third or fourth if he does play 2 more seasons, which is great company.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I was going to say he has not played the most games of a catcher, but he's still up there. He's already top 10.
He's seventh.
Yeah, exactly. So and you said he could probably cap out where, like top 5, like
He can
fourth,
top out third or fourth. And the only guys ahead of him would be Ivan Rodriguez and Carlton Fisk. So
and that's bearing like drastic injury or anything such as that. So, and that's if he gets his 2 more years. Um, but he seems pretty set on doing it. Um, but man, like I can see both sides of the debate. Um, but what do you think? I had this question written down. What do you think leaving? We talked about it a little bit earlier. What do you think leaving the Cardinals will do to Yadier Molina's career? Is it going to be like a shock for the league? Is it going to kind of take away a little bit from his career just because he left and he didn't stick with the loyalty thing? Like what do you think is the overall impact of Yadier Molina potentially leaving the Cardinals?
well, it's not his fault if he wants to keep playing baseball and the Cardinals don't want to keep him in the uniform. Um, you got to follow what you love, and if he loves that, he obviously loves the game. That's no question. And if he wants his 2 more years, he's going to go anywhere he can for those 2 more years. I don't think it would mess with his legacy at all. The Wizards for Michael Jordan didn't affect his career. It just was a little weird to watch.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even know he played for the Wizards.
Yeah, so you look at next year and you see Yadier Molina in a Tigers uniform. It's
Ugh.
weird, you know. It's not. It won't be a pretty sight for Cardinals fans, but it's Yadier Molina playing baseball, still being the consistent player that he is. So I don't think it messes with his legacy at all.
I think once you hit like a cap in the MLB, like a certain amount of years, it kind of throws people off to see you in a different jersey anyway. And I think once you hit like that, probably about 8 years or so, once you see them consistently 8 years, you can do a lot of growing as a human in 8 years. And you've seen that same person on that same team for 8 years. If they left, it would be weird. Like a lot of people probably, I mean, obviously, diehard baseball fans and everything like that will know, but a lot of casual fans that just watch it for the current day entertainment, a lot of people won't know that Miggy used to be a Marlin.
Yeah,
A lot of people won't know that David Ortiz was on the Twins. Like, and there's a lot of names because that's not who they're known for. I mean, Miggy is going to go down as a Tiger great, one of the greatest in Tiger history.
for sure.
David Ortiz, arguably the best DH in Red Sox history. And it's just, I mean, there are just players who are known for being on certain teams, and I don't see Yachty going to a different team. I really don't. I really think Mozeliak will give him what he wants, and I think Yachty knows that um, he's not the 20 million a year catcher that he is right now. Or the contract that the Cardinals gave him, they gave him 3 years, 60 million, not backloaded, not front loaded, 20 million straight base salary every single year for all 3 of those years. And I think Yadi Molina knows that he probably won't get 20 million a year again. Um, but I feel like he does believe in himself, and I feel like he does believe he could still go out and catch anywhere between 100 and 140 games still. Like I feel like he does feel that way. He seems pretty confident. He seems to be willing to say that you could take on 2 more years, not just one. He's not going to 1 year deal it, 1 year deal it until he retires. He's saying, give me a multiple year deal. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to be ready. And I think that speaks a lot to what Yadi thinks that he's capable of, and I think he's ready to go at it.
I would like to see Yadier Molina finish his career in St. Louis. I think that's the most fitting exit for him. I can't really see him anywhere else, although it wouldn't surprise me. But I hope he finishes with St. Louis, and I hope eventually one day he makes it into the Hall of Fame.
I can't tell you off the top of my head the last player I've seen spend 15 years plus. No, I can't say that. I can't tell you the last time I've seen somebody spend almost a 20-year career with the same exact team. or I should say this: I can't tell you the last time I saw somebody spend their whole career with one team. Like, and it's not that it's a loyalty problem or anything like that. MLB is a business, and that's what it comes down to. The players got to be happy, the agents got to be happy, the managers got to be happy. It's a business. It's money. Money is circulated. It's all entertainment, but it truly is a business. I mean, the guys get to play what they want to do for fun, but there's money involved and everything such as that. Everything comes at a price. So if Yadi gets a deal from the Cardinals and it's a 2-year deal and he gets what he wants, then yeah, obviously. But I can't imagine in it being a business that if he, or I could still see him getting a 2-year deal from an opposing team with more money in 2 years, and still I could still see him sticking with the Cardinals. Players turn down more money all the time.
Yeah, I
And
think
and yeah,
I think if the Cardinals want to keep him, I think they could get him for like a veteran minimum, and Yadier Molina would be like, "Cool, let's play, let's
yeah,
do it." That's
he
just who he
definitely.
is, and he's very loyal to the franchise. He loves the team, so I don't think he'd turn that down.
I can't imagine he would, and I think anybody who saw Yadier Molina get into a different jersey would be absolutely shocked. But I can promise you that Busch Stadium, if he were to do that, would welcome back with open arms, standing ovation. Obviously, one of the most notable players in recent history. He's going to go down, as you said, at minimum a Cardinals Hall of Famer, maybe even go down in Cooperstown. So with that, I mean, Yadier Molina, whether or not you think he's a Hall of Famer, whether or not I think he's a Hall of Famer, it all doesn't matter because it's not down to us. It's all down to the Writers Association. But anybody listening to this, if you're listening to the YouTube version, leave a comment. Tell us what you think Yadier Molina will be, if you think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, if you think he's not going to be Hall of Fame, and tell us why. Love to hear that from you guys. And if you have any other story ideas or any other episode ideas that you guys want us to cover, feel free to leave it in the comments, shoot us messages, or whatever it may be. But until next time, I'm Will Polston. That's Matt Perry. And this is GMs for Hire, where we, us kids, think that we could be general managers, but we really just sit here and talk on computer screens. So thank you so much for tuning in for episode 2. And we'll be here yet again on Sunday for the weekly recap. Have a good night, everybody.